Kim Tae-ho rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the clock on his computer screen. It was 3 in the morning, and he had been working for 18 hours straight. Empty coffee cups covered his small desk, and the remains of instant noodles sat, cold in a bowl beside his keyboard. He was an aerospace engineer working on humanity's first interstellar probe. The project was behind schedule, and his boss wanted results by Friday. Tae-ho had been living on coffee and 3 hours of sleep for the past 2 weeks. His tiny studio apartment in Seoul felt even smaller tonight. The walls seemed to press in on him as he finally saved his work and shut down his computer. He was too tired to shower or change clothes. He just fell onto his bed and closed his eyes. Sleep came quickly. When Tae-ho opened his eyes, something was very wrong. He was not in his cramped apartment anymore. He lay on what felt like a soft surface. But when he looked around, he saw walls made of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Strange plants hung from the ceiling, giving off gentle colors that shifted like the northern lights. He sat up quickly, his heart racing. The room was huge, bigger than any building he had ever been inside. Floating shapes moved slowly through the air, spinning and changing colors. Everything was beautiful, but completely alien. "You are awake," said a voice behind him. Tae-ho spun around and saw something that made him forget how to breathe. A woman stood there, but she was not human. Her skin was silver and seemed to glow from within. Her eyes were bright purple and larger than human eyes should be. Patterns of light moved under her skin like living tattoos. She was tall and graceful, and when she moved, it was like watching water flow. "Do not be afraid," she said. Her voice was musical, like wind chimes in a soft breeze. "My name is Yuna. You are safe." Tae-ho tried to speak but could only make a small choking sound. He looked down at himself and saw that he was wearing strange clothes made of material that felt like silk but looked like it was woven from starlight. "Where am I?" he finally managed to ask. "You are on my ship," Yuna said, moving closer. "You are very far from your home world." "Ship?" Tae-ho looked around at the vast space. "This is a spaceship?" "Yes. And you are now my husband." Tae-ho blinked. "Your what?" "In your language, you would call it marriage. We are bonded now. You belong to me and I belong to you." Tae-ho stood up so fast that he felt dizzy. Wait. I did not agree to marry anyone. I was just sleeping, in my apartment. This has to be a dream." Yuna tilted her head and the light patterns under her skin pulsed faster. "It is not a dream. You were chosen because your mind sings the right song. My people have been listening to the thoughts of your world for many cycles. Your brain makes the sounds we need." "Sounds? What sounds?" "The music of your sleep. When you dream, your mind creates waves that match ours perfectly. This is very rare. Without this match, my people will die." Tae-ho felt like the room was spinning. "Die? What are you talking about, and why did you kidnap me?" "I did not take you against your will. The bonding can only happen if both minds agree, even if one does not know it is agreeing. Your spirit called to mine while you slept. You wanted to escape your small life, and I needed what you could give." "My small life?" Tae-ho felt angry now. "My life might be small, but it was mine." Yuna stepped closer and held out her hand. When Tae-ho looked at it, he saw that her fingers were longer than human fingers and her skin seemed to be made of liquid metal. "Touch my hand," she said softly. "Let me show you." "No way. I am not touching anything until you explain what happened to me." Yuna lowered her hand but did not move away. "You have pain in your back. It has been there for 3 years since you fell down the stairs at your workplace. You take medicine for it, but it never goes away." Tae-ho stared at her. He had never told anyone about his back pain except his doctor. "You also have trouble sleeping because you think too much about work. You worry that you are not smart enough, not fast enough, not good enough. You eat bad food because you have no time to cook. You are lonely but too busy to make friends." Each word hit Tae-ho like a punch. Everything she said was true. "How do you know all this?" Because I can feel what you feel now. The bonding connects our minds. Your pain is my pain. Your loneliness is my loneliness. Yuna raised her hand again, and this time, light flowed from her fingers like water. Give me your hand, Taeho. Let me take away your pain. Against his better judgment, Taeho reached out. The moment their skin touched, warmth spread through his entire body. The constant ache in his lower back disappeared instantly. He felt more awake and clear-headed than he had in years. How did you do that? My people understand the body in ways yours do not yet. We can heal many things with thought and energy. Yuna waved her other hand and the air in front of them shimmered. Suddenly, Taeho was looking at Earth from space. He could see the lights of cities, the swirl of clouds, and the blue of the oceans. We have been watching your world for 60 of your years. We see how quickly you learn, how you never give up, how you make beautiful things from simple materials. This is why we chose your people. Chose us for what? To help us survive. My ship carries the last 50,000 of my people. We have been traveling through space for longer than your species has existed, looking for a new home. Your world is perfect for us, but we do not wish to take it by force. Taeho stared at the image of Earth floating in the air. You want to live on Earth? We want to live with your people, not instead of them. But there is something else you must know. Yuna's expression became sad, and the lights under her skin dimmed. We are not just looking for a home. We are running from something terrible, something that destroys entire worlds. What kind of something? They are called void seekers. They eat the life force from planets, leaving nothing but empty space behind. They have been chasing us for thousands of years. They will reach your solar system in less than 4 of your months. Taeho felt cold despite the warm air. Are you saying that because you came here, you brought danger to Earth? The danger was always coming. We just arrived first. But now, with the bonding complete, we have hope. Your people's way of thinking is different from ours. Together, we might find a way to stop them. Taeho looked at his hands, still glowing slightly from touching Yuna. He thought about his tiny apartment, his boring job, his lonely life. Then he looked at this incredible woman and the amazing world around him. So I am really married to an alien queen. Yuna smiled, and when she did, her whole face lit up like sunrise. Yes, and I am married to a human who builds machines that touch the stars. Together, we will save both our peoples. Taeho took a deep breath. His old life was gone, but maybe that was not such a bad thing after all. 3 days had passed since Taeho woke up married to an alien queen. He was starting to get used to the strange new world around him, but everything still felt like a dream that might end at any moment. Yuna had given him his own room next to hers. It was bigger than his entire apartment back in Seoul, with walls that could change color based on his mood. The bed was made of some material that felt like clouds, and the floor was warm and soft under his feet. The ship was enormous. Yuna told him it was called a generation ship because entire generations of her people had been born and died during their long journey through space. It had forests and lakes and even artificial weather. Some areas looked like crystal caves, while others looked like gardens from fairy tales. On his 4th day, Yuna took him to meet other important people on the ship. The first was General Hyun-soo, the military commander. He was tall for a Vellani, with darker silver skin and red patterns that glowed brighter when he was upset. He did not seem happy to see Taeho. You brought a primitive to our sacred ship, Hyun-soo said to Yuna in their musical language. Taeho was surprised that he could understand it. The bonding with Yuna had somehow given him their language. He is my bonded mate, Yuna replied calmly. He deserves respect. He is a security risk. His people know nothing about us. How do we know he will not betray our location to his world's military? Taeho stepped forward. I can speak for myself. General, I have no way to contact Earth even if I wanted to, and I would not do anything to hurt Yuna or her people. Hyun-soo looked surprised that Taeho could understand their language. You learned quickly, human, but learning words is not the same as understanding our ways. The second person Taiho met was Dr. Sujin, the ship's chief scientist. She was smaller than other Villani, with bright green patterns under her pale skin. She was fascinated by human biology and kept asking Taiho questions about everything from how humans grew food to how they made babies. "Your reproductive system is so simple," she said, making notes on a device that looked like a piece of living crystal. "Yet you create such variety in your offspring, most fascinating." "Thanks, I guess," Taiho said, feeling embarrassed. "And your brain. The way you process information is completely chaotic, yet somehow effective. You jump from idea to idea without logical connections, but you still reach correct conclusions. How is this possible?" Taiho thought about it. "I do not know. We just try different things until something works." Sujin's patterns flashed brighter with excitement. "Try things randomly, without careful planning? This should not work, but clearly it does. Your species must have incredible adaptability." The third person was Elder Moon Ho, the oldest being on the ship. His skin was almost white and his patterns moved very slowly, like lazy rivers of light. When he spoke, his voice was so quiet that Taiho had to lean forward to hear him. "The ancient texts speak of the Bridgewalker," Moonho whispered. "One who would come from the Chaos Realm to unite the ordered and the random. I believe you are. He, young human." "I am just an engineer," Taiho said. "I am not anyone special." Moonho smiled. The Bridgewalker would say exactly that. Over the following days, Taiho began to learn how the Villani ship worked. Everything was alive in some way. The walls could think and respond to commands. The lights were actually tiny creatures that fed on energy and gave off illumination. Even the food was grown from patterns of light and sound. But the Villani had problems that their advanced technology could not solve. Their bioorganic systems were perfect, but they were also fragile. When something broke, it took a long time to grow a replacement. They had to be very careful with everything they did. Taiho showed them a different way of thinking. When the water recycling system in his section broke down, the Villani engineers wanted to grow an entirely new system, which would take 10 days. Instead, Taiho found some spare parts and built a temporary fix using tape, wire, and a piece of metal he bent with his hands. "This is impossible," Dr. Sujin said, staring at Taiho's creation. "These materials are not compatible. The system should not work." "But it does work," Taiho said, pointing to the clean water flowing from his makeshift machine. "Sometimes, good enough is better than perfect." Word of Taiho's repair spread through the ship. Soon other Villani were bringing him their broken devices. He fixed a food processor using rubber bands and a spring. He repaired a communication device with chewing gum and a paperclip. Each time, the Villani were amazed that such simple solutions could work. "Your mind is beautiful chaos," Yuna told him one evening as they walked through one of the ship's gardens. "My people think in straight lines from problem to solution. You think in spirals and circles, finding paths we never considered. Is that good or bad?" Taiho asked. "It is wonderful. It is why I was drawn to you." She stopped walking and turned to face him. "But I must tell you something important. Not everyone on the ship agrees with my decision to seek alliance with your people." "What do you mean?" "There is another faction led by Commander Jiwoo. She believes we should simply take what we need from your world without asking permission. She thinks your people are too primitive to understand the danger we all face." Taiho felt worried. "How many people agree with her?" "Perhaps 1/3 of the population. She has not acted against my authority yet, but that could change when we reach your solar system." "When will that be?" Yuna looked up at the artificial stars in the garden's ceiling. 2 of your months, maybe less." That night, Taiho lay in his cloud-soft bed and thought about everything he had learned. His people on Earth had no idea that aliens existed. They definitely did not know that a huge ship full of refugees was heading their way, followed by something called void seekers that could destroy entire planets. He thought about his old boss, probably still working late nights on the interstellar probe project. He thought about his friend Minho, who was likely worried sick about Taiho's disappearance. He thought about all the people on Earth going about their normal lives, not knowing that everything was about to change. Yuna appeared in his doorway like a silver ghost. "You are troubled. I can feel your worry through our bond." "My people are not ready for this," Taeho said. "If you suddenly appear in our skies, there will be panic. Some governments might even try to attack you." "This is why we need you," Yuna said, sitting on the edge of his bed. "You understand both sides. You can help us find a way to approach your people without causing fear." "But I am just one person, and I have been gone for a week. By now, people probably think I am dead." Yuna touched his hand and warmth flowed between them. "You are not dead. You are more alive than you have ever been. And you are not just one person anymore. You are the bridge between two worlds." Taeho looked into her glowing purple eyes and felt something new growing in his heart. It was not just gratitude for healing his pain or excitement about the incredible technology around him. It was something deeper, warmer. "Yuna, I think I am starting to love you," she smiled, and the patterns under her skin danced with joy. "I have been waiting for you to realize that. I have loved you since the moment our minds first touched." Outside his window, the stars moved slowly past as the great ship continued its journey toward Earth. In 2 months, everything would change. But for now, Taeho was content to hold the hand of his alien wife and plan for a future that seemed impossible just a week ago. Tomorrow he would start working on the most important engineering project of his life, figuring out how to introduce two completely different species to each other without starting a war. Dr. Park Min-ho stared at his computer screen until his eyes burned. He had been searching for his missing friend for 2 weeks, and nothing made sense. Kim Tae-ho had simply vanished from his apartment without taking anything with him. His wallet, phone, and keys were still on his desk. Even his shoes were by the door. The police had given up after 5 days, saying there was no evidence of a crime, but Min-ho knew his friend better than anyone. Tae-ho would never just disappear without telling someone. They had been working together on the interstellar probe project for 3 years. They ate lunch together every day and shared all their crazy theories about life in space. Min-ho was looking through Tae-ho's research files when he found something strange. Hidden in the data from their deep space monitoring equipment was a pattern that did not belong there. It looked like a signal, but not from any human source. The energy readings were impossible according to everything they knew about physics. "What were you looking at, my friend?" Min-ho whispered to the empty lab. Meanwhile, millions of miles away, Tae-ho was discovering just how vast the Vellani ship really was. Yuna had given him access to their central archive, a massive crystal chamber filled with the knowledge of 1,000 worlds. When he touched the walls, information flowed directly into his mind. He learned that the Vellani were not just refugees. They were guardians, protectors of something they called the Weave. This was the invisible energy that connected all living things across the galaxy. The Vellani could see it, feel it, and use it to power their amazing technology. "Your people cannot see the Weave yet," Yuna explained as they floated through the archive chamber. "But you affect it powerfully. Human emotions create ripples that travel across vast distances. This is how we first detected your world." "Emotions create energy that travels through space?" Tae-ho asked. "All consciousness does, but human consciousness is different. Most species think in harmony, creating smooth waves in the Weave. But humans think as individuals, creating chaos patterns that are incredibly complex and beautiful." Tae-ho touched another crystal wall and suddenly understood something terrible. The Void Seekers were not just destroyers. They were parasites that fed on the Weave itself. They found planets rich with life energy and drained them completely, leaving behind dead zones where nothing could ever live again. "They have been following us for thousands of years," Yuna said sadly. "We are the last major source of Weave energy they have not consumed. But Earth is even richer than our homeworld ever was. If they reach it, how many worlds have they destroyed?" Tae-ho asked. "Hundreds. Maybe thousands. We are the only species that has ever successfully run from them for so long." Tae-ho felt sick thinking about entire civilizations being wiped out. "But why is Earth so special?" Why is it richer in this weave energy? Because of what your people call imagination. Most species develop logic and reason, but few develop the ability to create completely new ideas from nothing. Humans can imagine things that do not exist and then make them real. This creates enormous amounts of weave energy. The archive crystal showed Taeho images of human history. He saw cave paintings, pyramids, flying machines, computers, space rockets. Each great leap forward created bright flashes in the weave that rippled across the galaxy. We have been watching your species grow stronger and more creative for centuries. You went from simple tools to spaceflight in just a few thousand years. Most species take millions of years to make such progress. So you chose Earth not just as a place to hide, but because we might actually be able to help you fight these void seekers? Yes. But there is something else. Yuna's patterns dimmed with worry. Earth sits at what we call a junction point. The weave flows through your solar system like a river through a narrow canyon. If the void seekers control that junction, they can cut off the weave from half the galaxy. Taeho understood now why his marriage to Yuna was so important. It was not just about love or even helping the Villani reproduce. It was about creating a bond between species that could work together to save entire galaxies. But first, they had to survive contact with Earth. Back on Earth, Minho had made a breakthrough. Using the strange signal patterns he found in Taeho's files, he had been tracking similar energy readings from other deep space monitoring stations around the world. The signals were definitely coming from something moving toward Earth's solar system. He called his supervisor, Dr. Kim Yoon-ji, who ran the entire interstellar probe program. "You need to see this," he told her. "I think Taeho found evidence of extraterrestrial contact before he disappeared." Dr. Kim looked at Minho's data with growing excitement. "These energy patterns are unlike anything in our database. If this is real, we are looking at technology far beyond our current capabilities." "Should we contact the government?" "Not yet. We need more proof, but keep monitoring these signals. If something is coming toward Earth, we need to know about it." On the Villani ship, Taeho was working with their communication experts to develop a way to contact Earth without causing panic. The problem was that most human governments would probably assume any alien contact was an invasion threat. "We could start with scientific organizations," Taeho suggested. "Scientists are more likely to be curious than afraid." "But would your political leaders listen to scientists?" asked Dr. Soo-jin. Taeho thought about it. "Sometimes, if the evidence is strong enough." Commander Jiwoo chose that moment to enter the communication center. She was smaller than most Villani, but radiated an intensity that made everyone step back. Her patterns were sharp red lines that moved like lightning under her skin. "Why are we bothering with these elaborate plans?" she demanded. "When we arrive, we should simply demonstrate our power, show them that resistance is useless, then offer them terms for coexistence." "That would start a war," Taeho said. "A short war. We could disable their weapons without killing more than a few thousand people. Once they understand they cannot fight us, they will negotiate." "You do not understand humans," Taeho replied, feeling anger building inside him. "If you attack us, even just to show your power, some humans will fight you until they die. Others will spend the rest of their lives planning revenge. You might win the first battle, but you will lose the long war." Jiwoo's patterns flashed brighter. "Your people are that stubborn?" "Some of them, yes. But they are also capable of incredible cooperation when they choose to work together. The question is whether you want them as enemies or allies." "Allies," Yuna said firmly, her royal authority clear in her voice. "We will approach Earth peacefully as I have decided." Jiwoo bowed slightly but did not look convinced. "As you command, my queen. But I hope your human husband knows his people better than I think he does." That night, Taeho could not sleep. Through his bond with Yuna, he could feel the ship getting closer to Earth every hour. Soon, the largest decision in human history would be made: how to respond to first contact with an alien civilization. He thought about his friend Minho, probably still working late in their old lab. He thought about all the people on Earth who had no idea their lives were about to change forever. He thought about the void seekers somewhere behind them in the darkness of space, consuming worlds and heading toward the place he used to call home. Yuna found him standing at the observation window, looking at the distant star that was Earth's. "Son, are you ready?" she asked softly. "No," Tejo admitted. "But I suppose no one ever is for something like this." "The ship's sensors have detected something," Yuna said. "There are energy signatures from your solar system that suggest your people know we are coming." Tejo's heart jumped. "Someone found us?" "It appears so. And there is something else. Our long-range scanners show that the Void Seeker advance. Scouts are only 3 of your months behind us. We will have very little time to prepare your people for what is coming." Tejo looked at his reflection in the window. A month ago, he had been a tired engineer eating instant noodles in a tiny apartment. Now he was married to an alien queen and might be the only hope for 2 entire species. "Then we better make first contact count," he said. The first sign that Earth knew something was coming appeared on every telescope and radio dish on the planet at exactly 3:47 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. A massive object had appeared just past Jupiter's orbit, moving too fast and too straight to be a natural phenomenon. Dr. Park Min-ho was sleeping in his laboratory chair when the emergency alarms woke him up. He had been monitoring deep space signals for weeks, hoping to find more clues about his missing friend. Now every computer screen in the room was flashing red warnings. "This is it," he whispered, his hands shaking as he pulled up the telescope. "Data. Tejo, wherever you are, I hope you are safe." Within hours, every government on Earth was in emergency session. Military commanders wanted to prepare for invasion. Scientists wanted to attempt communication. Politicians wanted to keep everything secret to prevent panic. Nobody could agree on what to do. President Lee Yoon-ji of South Korea was one of the first world leaders to take action. She had been following the reports from her country's space program and knew that Dr. Min-ho's research might be connected to the approaching object. "Get me that scientist," she told her advisors. "The one who has been tracking the signals. If aliens are coming, I want to know everything he knows." Meanwhile, aboard the Villani ship, Tejo was working frantically with their communication team to prepare for first contact. Through the ship's advanced sensors, they could see Earth's military forces mobilizing around the world. Fighter jets were being moved to defensive positions. Nuclear submarines were surfacing in every ocean. It looked like the planet was preparing for war. "They are afraid," Yuna observed sadly. "I can feel their terror through the weave. It radiates from your world like heat from a fire." "Of course they are afraid," Tejo said. "This is the first time in human history that we know for certain we are not alone in the universe. Everyone is scared of what you might do to us." Commander Ji-woo entered the communication center with several of her military officers. "My queen, our sensors show that the human military is targeting our ship with weapons. Perhaps it is time to demonstrate our defensive capabilities." "No," Tejo said quickly. "Any show of force right now will make things worse. Let me try to establish communication first." "And how do you propose to do that without causing more panic?" Ji-woo asked. Tejo had been thinking about this problem for days. "We contact the scientists first. They are the people most likely to listen before shooting, and I know exactly who to call." Using the ship's quantum communication system, Tejo managed to send a message directly to his old laboratory in Seoul. It took him 3 tries to get the frequency right, but finally a familiar voice answered. "This is Dr. Park Min-ho. Who is this?" "Min-ho, it is me. It is Tejo." There was a long silence, then, "Tejo, where have you been? We thought you were dead. The police gave up looking for you weeks ago." "I am alive, but I am very far from home. Min-ho, you need to listen carefully. I am aboard an alien spacecraft approaching Earth." "What?" "Tejo, this is not funny. People have been worried sick about you." "I am not joking. Remember the signal patterns you helped me analyze last month? The ones that did not match any known source? Those signals came from the ship." Min-ho was quiet for a moment. "The energy readings, they were off the charts. But Tejo, If you are really on an alien ship, why are you calling me? Shouldn't you be talking to the government? Because I need someone who will listen instead of immediately trying to blow us out of the sky. These aliens are not invaders. They are refugees and they need our help. But there is something much worse following them. Teho quickly explained about the Villani, the Void Seekers, and the threat to Earth. Minho listened without interruption, asking only technical questions about the alien technology and the energy readings he had detected. This is incredible, Minho said finally. But how do I convince anyone else? They will think I have lost my mind. You have to try. Contact Dr. Kim Yoon-ji. Get her to contact President Lee. Tell them that first contact is happening right now, and how we handle it will determine whether we survive what is coming. While Teho was talking to his friend, Yuna received an urgent message from the ship's sensor operators. Long-range scanners had detected something terrifying. The Void Seeker. Advance force had arrived at the edge of the solar system. They are here, she told the assembled command staff. 3 scout ships, but each one is capable of destroying a small moon. General Hyon Su's patterns flashed angry red. We are not ready. Our people are not settled, and the humans are preparing to attack us. How long do we have? Teho asked. Teho, the scout ships will reach the outer planets in 2 days, Yuna replied. The main fleet will arrive perhaps a week after that. Commander Jiwoo stepped forward. My queen, we must prepare for battle immediately. I recommend we begin evacuating non-essential personnel to the surface of the human world. You want to land on Earth? Teho asked, alarmed. It is the only way to protect our civilians, and if the humans refuse to cooperate, we may have to force them. Teho felt panic rising in his chest. If you try to land ships on Earth without permission, every military on the planet will attack you. This is exactly the wrong time for misunderstandings. Yuna placed her hand on his shoulder. What do you suggest? Give me 12 hours to arrange a meeting with Earth's leaders, face-to-face, with me there to translate both languages and cultures. If we can make them understand the situation, they might help willingly. And if they refuse? Jiwoo asked. Teho met her fierce gaze steadily. Then we fight together, or die together. But at least we will have tried to do this the right way. 6 hours later, Dr. Park Min-ho stood in the Blue House, the official residence of the President of South Korea, trying to convince a room full of politicians and military commanders that his missing friend was calling from an alien spaceship. You are asking us to believe an incredible story based on a single phone call, said Defense Minister Choi Sung-min. Not just a phone call, Min-ho replied, activating his laptop. I have been tracking their approach for weeks. The energy signatures, the trajectory, the speed, everything matches what Teho told me. President Lee studied the data carefully. Assuming this is true, what exactly are these aliens asking for? A meeting. They want to explain the situation and ask for our help against something called Void Seekers that are apparently coming to destroy our solar system. And you believe this threat is real? Min-ho looked at the faces around the table. Madam President, a month ago I thought we were alone in the universe. Now my best friend is married to an alien queen and warning us about space monsters. I do not know what to believe anymore. But I do know that something big is happening and we need to be ready for it. President Lee made her decision. Set up the meeting. If these aliens want to talk, we will listen. But I want our military ready for anything. That night, as Earth's leaders prepared for humanity's first official contact with an alien species, Teho stood with Yuna on the observation deck of their ship. In the distance, they could see the first explosions as Void Seeker scouts attacked the outer planets. Jupiter's moon Europa flashed bright white and then went dark forever. It has begun, Yuna said softly. Whatever happens now, there is no going back. Teho took her hand, feeling the warmth of her alien skin and the strange comfort of their mental bond. Then we better make sure we get it right the first time. Tomorrow, 2 species would meet to decide the fate of an entire galaxy. And somewhere in the darkness between the stars, ancient destroyers were coming to claim their newest prize. The only question was whether humanity and the Volani could learn to work together fast enough to survive what was coming. The meeting took place in the International Space Station, neutral territory that belonged to all humanity. President Lee Yunji represented Earth, while Queen Yuna came with a small delegation, including Tai-Ho. The space station had never hosted such an important gathering, and everyone was nervous. Tai-Ho floated between the two groups, literally and figuratively bridging two worlds. President Lee, may I present Queen Yuna of the Volani? Your Majesty, this is President Lee Yunji, leader of my birth nation. The first few minutes were awkward. President Lee tried to shake Yuna's hand, not knowing that Volani greetings involved touching foreheads and sharing a brief mental connection. Yuna attempted the human custom, but accidentally shared emotions along with the handshake, leaving the president feeling overwhelmed by alien thoughts. This will take some getting used to, President Lee said, blinking in confusion. For both our species, Yuna agreed. The pleasantries ended quickly when Admiral Kim Dong-ho burst into the station's communication center. Madam President, we have a situation. The outer planets are under attack. We have confirmed that 3 of Jupiter's moons have been completely destroyed. Through the station's windows, they could see distant flashes of light where battles were taking place millions of miles away. The Void Seekers had arrived in force, and they were consuming everything in their path. How long do we have? President Lee asked. General Hyun-soo, who had accompanied Yuna, consulted his bioorganic scanner. The main Void Seeker fleet will reach Earth's orbit in 6 days. The advanced scouts will arrive much sooner. 6 days to save our entire world? Admiral Kim looked pale. 6 days to save our entire galaxy, Yuna corrected. If Earth falls, the Void Seekers will control the junction point. They will be able to cut off the weave from half of all known space. President Lee turned to Tai-Ho. You understand both sides. What do we need to do? Tai-Ho had been thinking about this moment for weeks. We need to combine our strengths. Humans are good at mass production and creative problem solving. The Volani have advanced technology and can manipulate energy in ways we cannot imagine. Separately, both our species lose. Together, we might have a chance. What kind of chance? Admiral Kim asked. The Void Seekers are like a virus, Yuna explained. They consume and replicate, but they follow predictable patterns. They expect their enemies to fight in logical, organized ways. But humans do not always fight logically, Tai-Ho added with a smile. Sometimes we do crazy things that make no sense but work anyway. The next few days were the most intense in human history. Factories around the world stopped making cars and computers and started producing weapons designed from Volani technology. The aliens shared their knowledge of energy manipulation, while humans showed them how to mass-produce complex devices quickly and cheaply. Dr. Park Min-ho found himself working with Dr. Soo-jin to create hybrid human Volani weapon systems. Your manufacturing processes are incredible, Soo-jin told him as they watched a factory in Germany produce 50 energy cannons in a single day. We would have needed months to grow this many weapons. And your technology is amazing, Min-ho replied. These cannons can destroy a building with less energy than it takes to power a light bulb. Meanwhile, Tai-Ho was working with military commanders from both species to plan the defense of Earth. The strategy they developed was unlike anything either side had used before. Instead of meeting the Void Seekers in organized battle formations, they would use guerrilla tactics combined with Volani energy weapons. We will make them think we are weak and disorganized, explained Admiral Kim. Then when they get close, we hit them with everything we have. Commander Jiwoo, who had initially opposed cooperation with humans, was now one of the strongest supporters of the joint operation. Your people's unpredictability is their greatest weapon, she told Tai-Ho. Even I cannot predict what you will do next, and I have been studying humans for months. The first test of the alliance came when Void Seeker scouts attacked Mars. The planet's 2 small moons were consumed within hours, but the joint human Volani fleet was waiting. Instead of fighting in neat formations, human ships darted around, like angry bees, while Volani vessels provided covering fire with their energy weapons. The battle was chaos, but it was human chaos, and the Void Seekers could not adapt to it. For the first time in their long history, they retreated from a battle they should have won easily. It worked, Una said in amazement as they watched the enemy scouts fleeing toward the outer solar system. The confusion tactics actually worked. That was just the scouts, Tejo reminded her. The main fleet will be much harder to confuse. The final battle began when the Void Seeker main fleet arrived at Earth's moon. There were hundreds of the dark ships, each one large enough to swallow a city. They moved in perfect formation, blocking out the stars as they approached. Tejo stood on the bridge of the combined command ship, a hybrid vessel built from human and Villani technology. Around him, officers from both species worked side by side, their differences forgotten in the face of extinction. All ships, remember the plan, he broadcast to the fleet. We are not trying to win a normal battle. We are trying to save everyone we love. The human ships attacked first, swarming the Void Seeker formation like insects attacking a giant. They fired and ran, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted. It looked like madness, but there was method to it. Each attack created small amounts of chaos in the Void Seekers' organized formations. Then the Villani ships struck with their energy weapons, not at the enemy ships, but at the space around them. Una had discovered that Void Seekers were vulnerable to random energy fluctuations. By creating chaos in the very fabric of spacetime, the Villani could disrupt the entity's ability to feed and reproduce. The turning point came when Tejo realized something important about the connection between him and Una. Their mental bond, strengthened by weeks of working together, could amplify both human creativity and Villani energy control. Una, link with me, he called across the bridge. Let me show you something. When their minds connected fully, something incredible happened. Tejo's chaotic human thoughts merged with Una's ordered Villani consciousness, creating a completely new kind of mental pattern. This pattern spread through the weave like ripples on a pond, confusing the Void Seekers and making them unable to process what they were experiencing. For the first time in millions of years, the Void Seekers felt something they had never encountered. Uncertainty. They could not understand the hybrid thought patterns that Tejo and Una were creating. Their feeding mechanisms became confused and began to shut down. The battle turned into a rout. Void Seeker ships began consuming each other. In their confusion, others simply stopped moving, unable to process the chaotic patterns filling their sensors. Within hours, the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known was retreating into deep space, defeated by something they could never understand: love between two impossible different beings. 2 years later, Tejo stood on the observation deck of the first joint human-Villani colony on Mars. The red planet was green now in many places, transformed by Villani biotechnology and human engineering working together. His twin children, the first human Villani hybrids, played in the artificial garden while Una worked on plans for the next colony ship. "Are you happy?" Una asked, joining him at the window. Tejo thought about his old life, the tiny apartment, the boring job, the loneliness. Then he looked at his incredible family and the amazing world they were building together. "I never imagined I could be this happy," he said. Through the window, they could see human and Villani engineers working side by side on the next generation of starships. The alliance that had begun with Tejo's unexpected marriage had grown into something much larger. Earth was no longer alone in the universe, and neither were the Villani. Dr. Park Minho, now the first human ambassador to the Villani, sent a message. From Earth, the deep space monitoring stations have detected signals from other species. It seems word of our victory has spread. We have requests for contact from 12 different civilizations. Tejo smiled. "What do you think? Ready to meet more aliens?" Una laughed, a sound like silver bells in the wind. "With you as my guide to the galaxy's chaos, I am ready for anything." Outside their window, the stars waited, full of new friends and new adventures. And somewhere in the distance, their children played in a garden that existed because an overworked engineer had fallen asleep in Seoul and woken up married to an alien queen. Sometimes the most important changes in the universe begin with the simplest things, like getting a good night's sleep.